Howdy nerds, it's Kevin with Gone Order Games. Another day here at the store, and I was doing some organization and inventory and going through a lot of my older Magic product that's just been building up over the years. And wow, we talk about the Poke market being hot. The Magic market has snuck up, and a lot of the products that have just been stagnant for so long are actually at really decent prices right now. In fact, they're at the point where the distributors that still have these in stock, there's good margins. And not only that, the sales data is actually there to support that these are products that are moving with a few boxes per day. Now, that's actually pretty significant that some of these older lines still have like a few of them sold per day, because when you get old like Commander Legends, or even if you're in like Kaldheim Draft, I mean, there's just not a lot of eyes on them. There's not a lot of people that are buying these products. And so if we're at the point when a few are selling per day, that is actually a really, really good sign for the overall health of Magic. Now, here's what I think is going on. I think that the price increase of play boosters, and I think I predicted this too, if we go back to one of my videos, brownie points if someone can find it, where I predicted that the play boosters would set a new price memory for booster boxes. Now, of course, they're called play boosters, not draft or set. But when people are looking back at older sets and they realize that they just paid 125 to 150 for play boosters, then they go back to some of these set boosters from like Kaldheim, and 115 right now actually looks like a bargain for Kaldheim. Now, Magic has been an absolute mess for years. Wizards of the Coast has brought back MSRP, which is so laughable because they themselves have trained the market to basically think that anything barely above distributor pricing is a ripoff. And TCG Player, the people selling on eBay and TCG Player, have been working on the smallest margins for years now with this sort of product, which has then made local game stores have to be very sensitive. Now, I've talked to other stores, and I think we're all on the same page. The Magic players are the most price sensitive out of all of the TCGs. And I think it's because a little bit older demographic, people are used to shopping around on the TCG. You have this, just a personality that I think is used to that, because in the day and age of when TCG Player popped up and eBay popped up, 10 years ago, that was the new thing. And I think everyone just was so accustomed to using that and kind of shopping around. I don't know, it's just kind of the personality I've just noticed with the Magic players compared to like the Pokemon or Lorcana, even One Piece, that Magic players seem to be by far the most price sensitive. So it is kind of laughable that now Wizards of the Coast has brought back MSRP. It's kind of a joke too. I don't know why that when they brought back MSRP, they decided that they weren't going to go industry standards. They were going to go below industry standards. So Pokemon, if you actually look on their website, they do sell Pokemon on the kind of the mothership for the Pokemon. And I think they have it at like 162 a box for Pokemon for Surging Spark. And that puts it at, after distributors, it puts it about industry standards about 40 to 45% markups on products. So that's what you're going to be able to get profit margin out of a product. And at Wizards of the Coast, how they price this is about 33%, is what I've noticed is what they've priced the store's distributor cost versus what they put at MSRP, which is going to be interesting too, because I need to go and check like the Walmarts and Targets to see exactly how much they are selling the play boosters for the foundations, to see if that's going to be actually higher than their own set MSRP, which is going to be very, very awkward if that's the case. If not, then isn't it cheaper now with foundations than the sets before? Anyway, when anyone shops at Walmart, you have to tell me in the comment sections. I haven't been to Walmart forever. I have to go and see exactly how they've got foundations set up. But anyway, I thought it was interesting when I was going through a lot of these products, just to see how it's just, the market really has snuck up on us. And I was very, very surprised that some of these sets that we thought were just they've been such trash for so long, are now decent. There's decent margins. And if you are a patron of mine, some of these can still be purchased at distribution level for decent margins in between what they're going for on TCG Player with low supply. Like I'm very surprised at the low quantities of some of these boxes that are on TCG now. And so it's a very interesting time, and I think it's just going to, everyone's talking about Pokemon, but Magic, meanwhile, is just slowly creeping away at the supply, and there doesn't seem to be any pushback as far as the market's concerned. Now, I was concerned about foundations having a bit of an effect of soaking up too much of the money that would be going to purchasing some of these products that I still think need to start evaporating at distribution level. Things like New Capenna at this point, this is an old set. Probably shouldn't be offered still at distribution. Typically, distribution keeps things in stock for as long as Wizards keeps them in stock, and so far, all distributors are still loaded full of a lot of the New Capenna era products. So, again, it'll be interesting though, when I'm looking at the eBay and TCG player numbers of how many have actually sold in the last few months. And not that, the big caveat here is when, it's never a good idea to just look at the overall sold per month on TCG Player and then try to subtract that from how many are available, because that doesn't give a clear picture of how many will then be listed. So one of the things that I saw with Pokemon is everyone's talking about, oh man, Pokemon is going to be, this set's going to be out of stock in a month. And I think it was Chilling Reign. Chilling Reign booster packs has got all the way down to 500 available on TCG Player, and the price was increasing, and so there was a lot of people saying, oh man, there's 30 packs are sold per day, or 16 packs are sold a day. It's only going to take a month and a half before there's no more inventory on TCG Player, so Chilling Reign's going to go through the roof. Well, lo and behold, when Chilling Reign started to eke up a little bit, then we saw a massive amount of packs being listed. And just when Pokemon got hot, we saw a massive amount of packs being listed on TCG Player, all the way from Evolving Skies, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, all of them were starting to get low. So you don't want to fall into that trap and just do this little mathematical equation of how many exist now and then think, okay, well, this is how many exist, this is how many are being purchased per month, then go page 2 of how many are available, this is how much is going to be worth. No, that's not the case. When people like me, we don't have our stuff listed, and as soon as a price hits a certain point, that's when we'll get our acts together and start listing things. So I actually don't sell on eBay or TCG Player. I prefer working through people I know. That's why I do the subscription service on Patreon, because, and you'll find this out if you do try to start an online store and try to deal with randos, there is a lot of fraud and a lot of scamming. It seems like this industry, just look at all the YouTube videos of people breaking into stores. It just comes with the territory. Unfortunately, gaming attracts a lot of people that don't have the best self-control and the best moral baseline to begin with. You're in these territories of, and again, I'm not judging an entire community, but I think you know who we're talking about. We've all dealt with these people that are just miserable to deal with at the local game store level. They're miserable to play games with, and that translates into moral behavior too. And it leads to, that's why a lot of times these stores are soft targets, but they're usually people that have scouted out the area or know of the area, have even been customers at a particular store. They ended up, robbing them later on in the future. And it's kind of sad. But I mean, it's just that is what it is in this industry. Where was I going with this thought? Anyway, So if you start to sell online, you'll come across a lot of fraud. You'll come across a lot of people complaining about. So here, for example, this is what always drives me nuts. This box here. This is how I got it from distributor. You can see the packaging is kind of loose. If I were to sell this online, I guarantee this would lead to someone saying this is tampered with, I want to return, and all of the, if you're trying to compete at these already low profit margins, where, as I stated in this video earlier, where the Wizards has trained everyone to think that distribution price is fair price, then there goes, if you have to do even a few returns or have a couple of fraud cases, your margins go completely, you've lost so many sales at that point, so many worth of sales of selling these. So that's why I choose to go through the patron route of the subscription service, is that I don't have to deal with that. It's people that I know, people I trust, people I've built a rapport with, and it becomes a kind of you scratch my back, I scratch your back operation. And it works so much better. Now, I know a lot of people can't go that route, and I do have that advantage because I do create videos. I do have that personality that is more personable to make these connections and whatnot. But yeah. Anyway, I lost my train of thought where I was going with this. But I thought I'd just do a quick little video about, all of the eyes are on Pokemon. Pokemon is going nuts with crypto. Did Bitcoin hit 90? I didn't even look today. I've been so busy these last few days. And, all of the eyes are on this. These surging sparks, madness, which now distributors are fleecing me, by the way. I've been able to pick up a little bit of surging spark Like, end up getting like a couple boxes. I had to like buy a lot of stuff to get this though. So usually distributors will throw this in with like, or not throw it in, allow you to purchase it if you purchase a lot of other, you know, thousands of dollars worth of other things. So that's how I've been kind of picking up these surging sparks. But all the eyes have been on Pokemon, and I think if people have forgotten about Magic the Gathering and how things are starting to go up. Now, one metric, one area of Magic that is still not doing well is all of the things that spiked up during the COVID era, like these 2011 box. I got like a Zednikar box somewhere that's floating around here, like this one here. Like these hit their all-time highs during that era, and most of them are still coming down. And I think that's probably right. Like Magic somehow needs to get back into the collectability of people wanting these sealed products that we saw during like the 2020 era, 2018, 2019, 2020 era, where people were like collecting full sets. And the issue with that is I think that Wizard of the Coast went through this whole, the One Ring and the Kamigawa neon foiling treatments and the what they do with All Will Be One, the oil slicks, and now they even have with the foundations they have the anime specialty foiling. I think that like that replaced all of the people that were trying to do like older card sets, and we've seen a lot of the vintage era of Magic stagnate. Now, it hasn't gone down, and I'm not even sure if it still should go down, because during that time period of 2018 to 2020, there just really wasn't a lot of things interesting for the hardcore collector. They were going after things like the test cards and miscuts and super old sets. There were a lot of people. I remember that time period, there were a lot of people that were trying to finish off the Dark and and Legends and Antiquities and Arabian Nights, and even things like Ice Age started to go up in value. All those older nostalgic sets, people were trying to actually get full sets of. And then the whole mood changed with, there used to be some utility with those older products with things not getting reprinted to the rate they were. But when Magic started doing like one commander, instead of going from like one commander set per year with commander sets every release, and I'm actually surprised they didn't do it with the foundations, they dipped into that equity, that reprint equity like crazy. And so it's made a lot of the older sets not as appealing just based on the fact that they've hit them all, even things like Portals 3 Kingdom, and some cards that had never seen reprints. I think they've hit all of the major ones at this point. And what's really suffered too, so that's the first class of Magic that I think hasn't been doing the greatest. And the second one is like this era. So Dragons of Tarkir, Theros, Fate Reforged, Guilds of Ravnica, like those ones right there. I think that's another one that is still kind of lagging behind. But what is so interesting though is like the new Kapini era is starting to catch up. And it has been, it's been the one that has definitely lagged behind because they never had spikes. This has always been a product that since it was released, it has just taken a nosedive and has never recovered. So it's a breath of fresh air that those ones are actually starting to do the best. And I think everyone's kicking themselves, but I don't know if you could have predicted the way that Wizard of the Coast was going during the Cynthia Williams era. Everyone thought, I mean, it was all like, and I still don't blame myself and others for jumping ship and just like, okay, we're not going to stock Magic like we used to because if they're just going to print, like there was no end in sight of how much they printed this era, which again is so surprising that these products will be able to catch back up when you'd think that these are at this point more rare. With like having Shocklands and Fetchlands still in them, you'd think they'd actually be accruing value quicker. But I think what we're starting to see is Magic is healthier than anyone had anticipated, and people are doing what we call the backwards effect. So they picked up foundations, they bought their Duskmoor and their Bloomburrow, their Outlaws, and they're working back. And so now that they've dipped their toes in all the standard sets, they're starting, and that's the ones that actually did start to go up the most were like All Be One, Brothers War, Dominaria. Those were the ones like a month ago that had the big increases. Now what we're starting to see is the sets that were prior rotation. So Kamigawa, New Capenna, Crimson Vow, all those are actually having pretty decent sales. And that's my theory, is I think that some of this newer blood that's actually starting to get into, and I think this is in big ways. I think what we're really starting to see is the Lord of the Rings era where we had a huge influx of new players into Magic. And you got to give credit where credit's due. That era, even though it sank a lot of money into Lord of the Rings, it did seem to do its job. It did seem to get people the One Ring, the hype. When Post Malone playing, and people getting nostalgic again that used to play Magic coming back in the game. I think we're starting to see those that were just dipping their toes in for return are now more active in their purchases, and we're starting to see them pick up some of these sets they missed. So one of the problems I'm still having with Magic is I still think that new blood is a lot rarer than it used to be. That if you go to conventions, if you go to tournaments, you even look at like Worlds, you're still seeing mostly the same faces you've seen forever. And so Magic does have that identity problem of getting these younger players in. But it seems like now there's been a lot of recapture of people that have played Magic in the past, and they are starting to have an appetite for all of the stuff they missed. And so that's my theory of why I think many of these sets are starting to be purchased. So very interesting times. So I'm going to take a deep dive on some of the products that still exist at distribution level, and I'm going to probably try to put together a spreadsheet or something of distributor price versus TCG price, and give my analysis of what I think is pretty decent buys. So it's always an ever-changing market. So I was all in on things like pre-release kits, which has slowed down a bit. And it does seem to be that set boosters and all the stuff are now starting to perform the best. And again, that just has to be my theory, that it's a lot of these players that are re-entering Magic that missed these big chunks that are now starting to purchase. Yeah, and these things come in waves. And I think that we're starting to see another wave of resurgence back into Magic from, again, I wouldn't call it new blood. I'm really thinking this is players that took a break or a hiatus or whatever, and now we're starting to get back into Magic. I don't know when it really started, when it started to get as hot as it did. And again, it's not like a Pokemon. It's not where there's just this massive energy. It's just this slow, steady revival. I don't know a better word to say it, of people that have left the game and returned, in my opinion, is what I'm seeing. So, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts. If you're a store owner too, let me know exactly what you're seeing in your sales. But here locally, and from what I've been looking at online, it does seem to be the appetite for these older sets is really starting to pick up, and the purchases are following. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with Gone Over Games. Thanks for watching.